flat.
Okay. Oh, cool. Technology. All right, everybody. So for those of you who don't know, and those of you who do know, my name is Che Deer, and this is week 3 of my experiment, and I'm working with the effects of temperature on slow-release fertilizers and how they're used in hydroponic systems in greenhouses. And pretty much for those of you who have kind of been with me throughout the past couple weeks, I'm going to kind of rehash some of the things I've been working on, and a lot of the stuff I've been doing is just monitoring my systems and doing a lot of just data collection in that aspect. But planning, my research mentor is Dr. Dunn, and planning's been going pretty smoothly in terms of everything, getting it all set up with our presentation. And so what I've been doing is I'm working with 4 different species of plant, and with those I'm working with sweet basil, bib lettuce, butterhead lettuce, and leaf lettuce. And each of those I've got 18 running in 3 trays, and with the exception of basil just being left over, we're just wanting to kind of see what it does and how it performs under these circumstances. So due to limitations, we only were able to put about 10 in the 4th column here, but I have 2 experimental tables and 2 control tables. The experimental tables contain about 70.8 grams of fertilizer per 40-gallon rate, which equates to about a 1/16 of a cup per plant. And so we've got those sitting in little mesh tea balls that you would use for your tea, and you would dip in. And basically what that does is once the temperature activates the fertilizer, it acts as said tea and releases that fertilizer slowly. And from what we're seeing now, the plants are doing pretty well. This is from the first week, but plants started at about a height of 2 to 4 centimeters in height, and now the ones in the experimental tables are up to 5 to 9 centimeters in height. So they're growing pretty well, and nutrient deficiencies, there aren't hardly too many on some of them, with the exception of calcium nitrate needing to be added. But with that, I'm seeing a little bit of problems with my controls. That's one thing I do need to report, and because of that, we don't know whether or not it was if it was an accurate purge of the system and getting all the bleach out of the systems, or if it's just a lack of nutrition overall. So I've been working with Dr. Dunn on that to figure out the problem. Again, I've been collecting data with my pH and EC meter, which is EC is how we're using as a variable that we're using to quantify total nutrient content. And I've been mixing fertilizers. So this is our Osmocote that we use for slow release, but we have a Jax fertilizer brand, and pretty much this is my process. I do the math and I get it down to the amount that we had initially for our control, so about 141.41 grams per 40-gallon tank, and then we just divide that down into a 5-gallon bucket and then add rates as needed and then measure with our EC meter. And then pH solution, it's almost a similar process. We use about 1 fluid ounce to balance out 1 cup per 140-gallon tank, and then we just add it all in and monitor with our pH. And we're looking for a pH range of about 5.5 to 6.5 for all the beds, and an EC rate of about 1 to 2. In my case, I like to keep it a little bit more condensed, so about 1.2 to 1.4. But that's pretty much it, aside from chores and activities outside of the program. This is my experiment. Do you guys have any questions?
You were growing lettuce and basil, right? Or
yes.
chard?
So 3 different varieties of lettuce, and just the basil.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how I forgot.
Oh, I also forgot to mention, this right here is sort of a control study, or a side study set aside, and with each of those cups represent, so I have 4 different control rates: 0 cups, a 1/4 cup rate, 16th cup, and an 1/8 cup rate. And I know I said those out of order, but those are in the head house at room temperature, or at least head house temperature, and then we have a growth chamber temperature set at about 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're seeing the effects of temperature in terms of 2 extreme cases. And the reason why I did that was in a previous study that Dr. Dunn had conducted, he went with a 1/2 cup rate, and he found that while he was doing it and setting it up, he found that the total nutrient content rate was just sky high, and we didn't want to oversupply nutrients to all of our plants. So this right here was used to kind of cut back on those rates and not to like overfeed our plants. So that's kind of what I've been working with right now, and that has my 16th cup rate in it. And I've just been watching those along with my with this experiment as well. So
how often are you finding that you have to lower the pH?
it's every 2 days, and it's just a constant battle of being observant. So I check every Monday, Wednesday, Friday throughout the week, and again weekends I come in and I just check. So I know that there's a 1 day difference between throughout the week and then 2 days, but it keeps me on schedule and I'm able to monitor it. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for having me. Do I just push the red button to